G'day everyone, just back from the grand opening of the new EVIE 350 kilowatt charger at Coochin Creek in the Glasshouse Mountains region between Caboolture and the Sunshine Coast. I had a fantastic day, met a lot of the EVIE guys and they're a great bunch, and this is some of the footage from the outing.
Of EVIE Networks' first ultra-fast highway-based charging station here in Australia, located on the Sunshine Coast in Coochin Creek. Today is a momentous occasion not just for us at EVIE, but for all of our partners and our suppliers who have contributed long hours and hard work to see this site come to fruition. TheBefore I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country throughout Australia and pay respects to their culture, their lands and their waters. And I pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And as we stand here in Coochin Creek, surrounded by the beautiful Sunshine Coast, we acknowledge the Gubbi Gubbi peoples, who are the traditional owners and the custodians of this land. I would also like to acknowledge the Honourable Mark Bailey, the Minister for Transport and Main Roads, who's been a keen supporter of the take-up of electric vehicles here in Queensland for many years now. And I thank him for sharing in our event with us today. We're also joined by representatives from ARENA, whose contributed funding, has made this project possible. And finally, I'd like to extend a warm welcome and a big thank you to Trevor St Baker, the founder of the St Baker Energy Innovation Fund and the chairman of EVIE Networks. Trevor is a vocal advocate for us, he's a generous shareholder, and he is a very enthusiastic supporter of our cause. So before I talk about the site a little bit, just a few housekeeping rules. Number one, you'll notice this is quite a high traffic area, so please take care as you're moving around the site. Number two, there are gift bags, and you're all welcome to take a gift bag. And in those gift bags there's a hat, in case you feel like the sun's a bit hot, and there's plenty of cool water in the esky for you. You know, this site is the first site in a nationwide network of ultra-fast chargers connecting our capital cities along our major highways. For us, good customer experience is a key consideration when we are assessing each of the candidates that we elect to develop. As our customers will typically spend about 20 minutes at a site charging their vehicles, it's important that they have access to on-site amenities and services, that the site is really easily accessible no matter what side of the highway you come from, and that it is safe and it is secure no matter what time of the day or night that you're charging your vehicle. And as you'll notice, this site embodies all of those considerations. Looking around, you will see our neighbouring businesses where you can go and enjoy a meal or take a rest break while your vehicle is securely charging at an ultra-fast pace. You know, it's our aim to ensure that our customers can take comfort not only from the breadth of the coverage of our network, but also from the quality of the charging experience. This charging station will open the corridor from Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast and beyond without waiting hours for a charge. We've installed world-leading Brisbane designed and manufactured Tritium 350 kilowatt ultra-fast PK chargers, and we've configured each of those chargers with both European and Japanese plugs, so that no matter what electric car you have, you can bring that car to this site and you can charge it. As I said earlier, this first site, Coochin Creek, is the first step in our plan to connect Australia to electric cars. The opening will have a ripple effect across the industry as more consumers feel confident that they can travel between capital cities in an electric car. We believe that the rollout will promote and encourage automotive manufacturers to increase the variety of models that they import into the country as consumer concern about range anxiety decreases. Encouraging the take-up of electric vehicles takes many organisations, both public and private, working together to fulfil, a very, very complicated supply chain. From car makers who will supply ever more varieties of cars into the country, to governments who will promote the take-up of electric vehicles through positive policy and legislation, and through private companies who are designing, building, owning and operating charging networks which are connecting communities. Everyone here today has played an important role in the success of the launch of this site, and I thank you all very much. I would now like to invite the Honourable Mark Bailey to say a few words, and then following that I would also then like to ask Trevor St Baker, our Chairman, to say a few words before we then cut the ribbon. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everybody. I also acknowledge the traditional owners and which we gather. I acknowledge Chris Mills, and especially acknowledge and thank Trevor St Baker for his fantastic leadership in this space. What you're all here for today, this is a new era of automotive history in Queensland. The world's fastest electric vehicle supercharger right here, 10-minute charge from zero to top, is a first in Queensland, and it will become very common over the next 5 to 10 years. These will dot the Queensland road network because they're the best superchargers in the world. They're made by Queensland workers in Brisbane, and they're exported to 31 countries around the world. And what we're seeing today is a very exciting development, because we're seeing the private sector come into electric vehicle supercharging for the first time in a significant way in Queensland, building on our electric vehicle superhighway that the Palaszczuk government has put in place. It's the longest single electric vehicle superhighway in one state anywhere in the world. Cairns to Coolangatta, out to Toowoomba. We got in there first so that range anxiety can be dealt with. And it's always been our intention to supplement that, so we're adding another $2.5 million worth of investment into the electric vehicle superhighway to make the charges faster, to make them more easily accessible in more places. But it's always been our intention that we would be the precursor, and it would be the private sector that would move in and invest in this space. And what we're seeing today is the world's best technology made here in Queensland, put in for the first time by EVIE. Congratulations to EVIE. We're getting into this market being a trailblazer in terms of electric vehicles. Because the reality is, electric vehicles are essential to our future. We've got to get out of high carbon emitting combustion engine vehicles and transition into the newest technology that's a lot lighter on our environment, that's a lot lighter on climate change, but also actually makes economic sense. 1/3 of the cost when you've got an electric vehicle to source the power compared to petrol. 1/3 of the cost to service it, a lot less moving parts to be serviced, and a lot easier to service. So electric vehicles are the future, and the Palaszczuk government, we're committed to being a leading government in this way. I think we've been a very strong government with our electric vehicle superhighway strategy, and that we've been rolling out, and it is a source of great joy for me to be here today to see EVIE come in here and invest from the private sector to supplement the infrastructure. In 5 to 10 years' time, I want to see these things all around Queensland and all around this country, because it'll mean that our transition to clean energy, to better technology, is absolutely galloping, and that's what we want to see. So congratulations to EVIE, congratulations to Trevor St Baker, Chris Mills and the crew. I look forward to this being the first of many right throughout Queensland. And I look forward to electric vehicles really taking off in terms of sales. 27% increase in electric vehicle sales in the last financial year, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that every year over the next 10 years, because this is world-leading technology, and where the price of electric vehicles continues to fall, and as they continue to fall, more and more people will take them up. And so great to see the infrastructure in place. And thank you, great to see so many of you here. And I'll hand over now to Trevor St Baker, the man.
Thanks, John. Well, I'm here to thank the Minister and to thank everyone else who's come here today, and all the people who've been fundamental to I don't have to say any more about just what a trailblazing image this is for the electrification of the transport sector. This is everything that it's going to be. Comfortable drive-in, covered charging, 10 minutes and you've filled your car, and you're off and running. On the other hand, you've got a whole range of food outlets to spend more time there, but don't block the entrance with one another coming in and charging their car behind them. But before I get to thanking the Minister, I want to thank Drew and Jocelyn Walker, who own the land here, and this is our first trailblazing lease negotiation, and I think we have 19 leases at different stages of considering, signing and building on. But this was the first one, and thank you very much for helping us get this underway. For Energex, we've got a lot of people from Energex here, and Energex, of course, have been fundamental, the same as the electricity network in every state. We've had to invest a lot in a big transformer. It's been a steady negotiation, as in every state. But thanks for Energex, Energy Queensland. Sorry, I'm going to catch up. Energy Queensland reps here today. I should also say we've got Tritium and Caboolture here, who are our manufacturers of our. Tritium is our manufacturer of our chargers, and Caboolture are our partner in Tritium worldwide, and it's a great thrill to have Caboolture here, and Caboolture, who were a trademark company in gasoline service stations, are now becoming a trademark company in EV service stations as well. But there's probably more I had to thank, but I really, my job was to thank the Minister. I have to say, he's been a Minister for now 4.5 years or something like that, and he's been a real champion of electrifying the transport sector. And it might be getting rid of our carbon emissions, but my main passion has been, it's going to clean up the cities. It's going to get rid of that invisible gasoline exhaust in cities, which is impairing people's health. And one of the greatest advantages of going to electrification of the transport sector is going to be the public health benefits. And we're working in Philippines, electrifying mobility there. They're even more so than here, but certainly getting rid of the invisible pollutants of gasoline emissions in cities is the real passion I've had that's driven me to decades later be part of a global change in this transport. But it's Mark Bailey and the Palaszczuk government here in Queensland who've been great supporters. That they were one of the initial Queensland business development investors in Tritium, which was a great initiative as well, and a great program, Minister. But they've got this Queensland superhighway which is out there. I call it not yet a superhighway until our ultra-fast charging stations are built in between all of their what I call their city chargers. And our first one's here. Our second one in Queensland is in Townsville, at virtually the other end of it. And as we negotiate the leases, then we'll have it filled in, and there'll be branches out to different accommodation centres. I don't know when people will not buy their big SUVs, but that's what they take them into the bush. But electric vehicle driving on highways and in cities is here, and it's accelerating. Minister, thank you very much for your great support, and thanks for being here to help underline this important opening today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Trevor and to Minister Bailey for their kind words of support. I'd now like to invite them to come together and we can cut the ribbon and officially launch our first site.
Where's the camera, Minister?
Hang on, mate, hang on.
Don't get a second chance.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, declare it open.
Today marked another milestone in the uptake of EVs in Australia, with the second company coming online with 350 chargers, and that's fantastic to see, because at the moment there's a lot of 50 kilowatt chargers, and that means you have to charge for around about an hour, even more in some cases, and these 350 kilowatt chargers can pretty much max out the speed that your car can charge at, and can even be as low as 15-20 minutes before you're back on the road. EVIE plan on putting another 42 sites in between Brisbane, all the way around the eastern seaboard down to Adelaide, some in Perth, some up in North Queensland, and just a fantastic thing that they're doing. If you've enjoyed this video, consider giving a thumbs up and subscribing. It really helps the channel out, and I'll catch you on the next one.